Push the button.
Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm with the scholars from the edge of time, and they shall take us on an adventure that they recently had. Greetings, Nicholas and Michele. How are you?
Oh, we're doing good. A bit frazzled. It's been a hectic day today, a hectic last couple days, and
Mhm.
and con crud and just getting acclimated back to normal uh normal schedule of things. But no, we're doing pretty good. It's
Great.
autumn time. The sun is setting lower. Tomorrow is spooky season, so we'll be officially putting Halloween decorations up and stockpiling candy.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
So how are you?
I'm doing okay. I started teaching the mythology role playing in schools again. So that's been starting slowly over the last few weeks. I'll be doing that until the end of the year. Then there's a brief break, and then into the next year. So I'm always excited about that. The stories all interrelate, and they tie into stories I've been telling through role-playing games for the past quarter century at least. So it's fun.
And is it with teenage kids?
It's one of the classes that I do at my home. Kids come over here. It's middle schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
And in the schools, it's mostly younger kids. It's elementary school kids.
Okay. And
S-
they are intrigued and interested and engaged.
Yes, it's I start off. I do the Voyage of the Argo usually, and that takes a few years to complete.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time they complete it, there's a whole new bunch of kids, and the ones in between have had adventures beyond the Argo. So right now the Argo is returning to Yolko, and everybody thinks Jason is going to triumph and become king. And of course, we know from mythology that doesn't happen. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the kids don't know that.
Well, they'll know eventually.
They'll know eventually.
Oh my goodness.
How are you guys
So
doing?
what's that?
How are you guys doing?
Doing okay. So tonight for tonight's vidcast, we don't have any notes or anything. We're going to be going off the dome on everything. I know we watched the last two Clash of Titans, 80s and 2010s. We're supposed to watch Wrath of Titans, but we had an event this past weekend that we went to that's kind of superseded us watching Wrath of the Titans. So that will be next month, but we wanted to report out on this event because it's definitely of interest to you and the viewers and what we do, and
Mm-hmm.
it was quite the adventure. So I guess
Yep.
I'll get started.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have a lot of props. I've got some props. Michele will probably grab some props too. But
Yeah.
Very cool.
so what it was is Edgar Rice Burroughs, creator of Tarzan, but also John Carter, Princess of Mars.
Yep.
This year is his 150th birthday. And concurrently with that, southeast of us, there is Fort Grant. And when Burroughs was a young dude, he was stationed at Fort Grant, hunting the Apache Kid, I think. And so what they decided to do was have an event, an Edgar Rice Burroughs Chain of Friendship event, which is like a monthly conference, I'm going to call it, a gathering of different Edgar Rice Burroughs fans, scholars, members of the Edgar Rice Burroughs bibliophiles. But they had an event down in Wilcox, Arizona, which is the station that Edgar Rice Burroughs got off to go to Fort Grant. And what they did, led by um, a guy named Frank Punzer, he's an Edgar Rice Burroughs super fan and one of the bibliophiles, is he coordinated getting a monument set up for Edgar Rice Burroughs to commemorate his birthday and his military service. And so they went up to Fort Grant, they hauled a giant boulder down, and they put a plaque on it. And the plaque looks like, oh, it's right here. Looks like this. In fact, that is the plaque.
Very cool.
zooming up there. And so it was basically the unveiling of this monument. And in conjunction with it was, a couple days of us in the Elks Lodge giving presentations, vending, networking, having a banquet, and all that stuff. And so that's like the event at a high level. Now, there's more stuff that went on than that. So we'll talk about our journey to Wilcox and at Wilcox.
Because it is pertinent.
It is all pertinent. So we left Thursday morning. The con didn't actually start until Friday, but so we're driving down. We go down I-10 from Phoenix down to Tucson to Benson up to Wilcox. And Wilcox is like north of like Tombstone. It's in that, the southeast of Arizona where all the legendary frontier stuff is. And on the way down, we are driving into a huge storm. We can see just right in front of us this wall of gray clouds and sheets of rain. And we had to drive
Lots of lightning.
So much lightning. So if you've ever seen like a neo-Western where, they do a big shot of like the sparse landscape and there is like storms on the horizon, this was it, man. And while this is going on, our hometown Phoenix and towns around it are all getting flash flooded and stuff. But we're driving into the storm. So that was kind of spooky. But here's the thing. We're making a trip out of this. We're not just going down to Wilcox. We're tourists. We're going to see things, darn it. Now, on I-10, there is something called the Thing. It is a tourist trap. Apparently, there are billboards all the way from like El Paso to Tucson that basically say, stop by and see the thing, stop by and see the thing. And they come one right after each other. It is a giant tourist trap.
They spent some money.
There's billboards galore. Oh yeah. So just to spoiler, we stopped by to see the thing. But here's a refrigerator magnet. But this basically this font in this thing, like what is the thing, on yellow billboards just dot the landscape. The Thing 100 miles, the Thing 50 miles, turn around, you missed the thing. So what is the thing? Well, you get off the freeway right outside of a canyon called Texas Canyon, which is full of like the coolest boulders. This is like out of like Star Trek, original series landscaping here. These big, rounded, weathered boulders.
Think Joshua Tree National Park that have the big boulders. Here in this canyon, they have that, but then they've also got what's called pillar rocks, which are rocks that have eroded over time due to the wind and the rain. So they sit precariously on other rocks. So it's very dramatic landscape.
It's very cool looking.
Yeah.
But once you emerge from this canyon, there is the Thing, which is a Shell station and a Dairy Queen. A side note, Southern Arizonans love their Dairy Queens.
Yes.
I've never really paid Dairy Queen much of a mind. You always think of Burger King, McDonald's. Not down there. Down there, Dairy Queens rule the land.
There are more Dairy Queens than there are McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
But it's a Shell station, a Dairy Queen, and a giant building that houses the Thing.
Yeah, it's like a one-story building, very long, rectangular building. And so it's got Dairy Queen in one corner, and then the rest of it is
the Thing.
The Thing.
But the housing of the Thing.
Yes.
So when you walk into the Thing, you're greeted with a giant tourist trap of souvenirs. The souvenirs, there's like, local made stuff, Native American stuff, a lot of plushy dinosaurs, postcards, all that stuff. And then you pay $5 per person or $10 for a family to go behind a set of doors to enter the exhibit. Now, so when you go past the doors, the best way to describe it's a long corridor that goes down, then it loops around on itself and does a couple more loops before you get to the thing. In these corridors, it tells the history, the secret true history. Someone has watched a lot of Ancient Aliens. I would not be surprised if Tim Swartz didn't have his fingers involved in some of this, because it tells the history of aliens coming to prehistoric Earth and putting like armaments on dinosaurs and fighting each other with cave people involved and jackalopes too, because we saw a jackalope in there. But there is these giant, they're not animatronics, they're not moving, but giant, here's a T-Rex, here's a brontosaurus, here's a jackalope, and then they've got little placards up by each one, but instead of saying, this is a stegosaurus, it instead says the aliens came to Earth and tamed the dinosaurs type thing. I don't remember the story 100% because we took photos of all the dialogue, but there was dioramas of aliens on top of dinosaurs riding them like steeds, and Hercules, it ruled. That's all I could say, is it ruled. But the story goes is then the Ice Age kind of happened concurrently with the aliens going to war with each other. There's like the peaceful aliens and the evil aliens, and they kind of wiped each other out, and the Earth got kind of destroyed in the process, so they went away. But then the Earth, healed itself, and now the aliens came back, and now the aliens are like in the background of everything. Like all the good things that happen in history are from the bad aliens, and all the good stuff that happened in history is from the good bad aliens. You know what I mean? And so the other corridors are like, birth of the pyramids, birth of the Roman Empire, aliens, Hitler takes over, aliens, sinking of the ship. Why was this ship sunk to World War II? Because it had an alien artifact. So they have all this going on, but within it, they have like old cars,
artifacts from our history.
Yeah.
That are also on display.
Mhm.
So you get to see like different cars,
Mhm.
uniforms from the different wars, different equipment and things like that. So they actually intersperse quite a few artifacts through more modern
Mhm.
history to make it more legitimate
Or credible. But yeah,
or credible.
there's like here's an old Western wagon, here's an old Western stagecoach, here is a Mercedes Benz that may have been owned by FDR. And of course, what they did is they take this and they put an alien chauffeur in it and a dummy of FDR. It's either FDR or
it was Winston
or
Churchill.
Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
But that's basically the story. It's like all the World War II stuff, Manhattan Project, sinking of certain boats, all this stuff, aliens. It's all aliens.
But it's an interesting story because, we think of aliens in the modern era, and particularly around Area 51 and Roswell and things like that. And they have spun this yarn of aliens being around for, many, many eons, prior to and including human history.
But it's basically an iteration of like the Ancient Aliens TV show in a way. Just their take on it. They have us, that involves a bit more dinosaurs and cave people in it.
Yeah.
I'm glossing over some of the stuff just because we took more pictures than committed like the story to memory. But anyway, so at the end of all the corridors, they make a reproduction like miner shaft. And inside that miner shaft, on display, is the something that has survived all this time. Could it be one of the cave dwellers from ancient history that hung out with these aliens? And so this is what it leads to. This is all the buildup, all the showmanship is to the thing, which may or may not be a real like southwestern like mummified person,
mummified person. Yeah, two. It looks like it's two people.
like a mom holding a baby or something.
Yeah.
That's what it accumulates into. There's a display
Mhm.
case built into like a rock facade that looks like you're kind of in a miner shaft, and it's well lit. And there's of course a fake snake in it because of course there's a
You
fake
gotta
snake.
have a fake
Of course,
snake.
yeah.
You know,
But-
must have that.
This is the buildup. All the ancient aliens and dinosaurs and UFOs and cave people and cars on display lead to the thing. And the thing is, I guess it's 50-50 split that it's entirely fabricated or it's truly a mummified person that someone found in the Southwest and put it on the spot. I like to think it's probably a mummified person.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to let you, open it up and poke at it or anything, but
Yeah.
that's
And there's lots of stories around that, the person that owns or was involved in the development of the exhibition
Mhm.
is like a special effects artist.
mhm.
So
But they also
it's unclear.
but they also spin this into a story like what's the best way to keep a secret, keep it in the open as a roadside attraction.
Yeah.
They spin that yarn with it too. So while
Yeah.
some places have like the biggest ball of twine or the biggest pistachio or a giant rubber band ball, southeast Phoenix, let's try that again. Southeast Arizona has the thing.
Has the thing.
The thing. And we have a photo of it, but it's
Yeah.
on a phone, so it's not I can hold it up. But
Yeah.
but
They must have a website too, so people can visit the thing.
oh yeah. There's a website, and of course on Wikipedia there's a big entry for it, and they have a picture of the thing there. But
Yeah, so you could go online
Mm-hmm.
and see it.
But at the end of the day, it's a tourist trap. And they're there to hawk things like refrigerator magnets and and shirts.
T-shirts.
And we're not suckers to buy this type of stuff. Michelle's not a sucker to buy this type
How
of
can
stuff.
you not? It's the thing.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's great.
And the alien on the dinosaur is from the first exhibit that welcomes you to the journey.
Yep.
That is discovery of the thing.
So I may have walked out of there for shirt, refrigerator magnet, postcards, peanuts, and hot sauces, but I did not walk out of there with a hat. But so that's it. We that was one of our, when we did a trip to Vegas, many years ago, we stopped by to see the giant thermometer and the in Prim, they had like I think it was Bonnie and Clyde car or Al Capone car. We like that type of stuff. It's adventures. We've seen the thing signs, before. We purposely didn't really look it up, so we were surprised, pleasantly surprised when we went in. Was it kitschy? Yeah. Was it campy? Yeah. Was it fun? Oh yeah. Just to get out of the car and to partake in the middle of the desert, this tourist trap that is a mummy that maybe saw aliens riding dinosaurs.
And involved with the various great civilizations in American or in
The world.
world history.
If we can get the people from the thing on the show as an interview, would you guys like to be part of that?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. We thought it was fun.
We
The
thought it was a lot of
witnesses,
fun.
the two who actually saw the thing up close.
Oh man, it's cool. It was a blast. It's a blast, it was basically almost a 4-hour drive down to Wilcox, and it's at the, I don't know, 75% point there, to get out, stretch your legs and do something kind of silly and fun. So we bring it up.
And it wasn't expensive
No.
either. So, it was $5 a person or $10 for family.
Yeah.
So
So if you're like Mormon and you have 20 kids, $10 and have
Yeah.
some fun.
There you go.
But we bring it up because, I know a lot of that crosses over into, mythological and alien things that you cover on the show and some of your writing and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised that a good chunk of this wasn't based off of, the stuff you see on the Ancient Aliens TV show. From what I've heard, the dinosaur stuff and the alien stuff is actually a newer theme for the thing within the past 5 or 10 years. So I couldn't say what it was before that, but it was nice. It was fun, and it's also, I think it set the mood for us going to an Edgar Rice Burroughs conference where the guy that gave us John Carter and giant grasshopper aliens and stuff like that. So in Tarzan, who finds hidden valleys and fights dinosaurs. So I think it was the perfect kind of sloosh into our conference.
Yeah.
And of course, when we got to our conference, we had people ask us, "Did you stop by and see the thing? Did you
Oh
stop?"
yeah, that was a big thing.
That was a
That
big
was
thing.
that was the thing. Even one of the women, I think that was with the Sulphur Springs Valley Historical Society,
Mhm.
was making a big deal that if we hadn't done it, we needed to go see the
Uh,
thing. And of course we said, "Oh, we did it on our way down." So
Even the people that run the Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated, the actual company that Edgar Rice Burroughs set up, even they posted on Facebook, "Here we are stopping at the thing," and taking pictures of, so all
yeah,
the people that make the top dog decisions of what Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff gets published were partaking in
the thing.
the thing.
Yes. So it has been endorsed.
Very
So
cool.
Yes.
so that was our Thursday. We get the Wilcox, and we have a couple hours before we have to check into our hotel. So we had about like 2 hours to kill.
Okay.
So the first thing we did is we went to the grave of Warren Earp, one of the Earp brothers. Now Warren Earp, he's the one who was not at the OK Corral.
He was the youngest Earp brother.
Mhm.
So he came to the area a bit later. So he was not part of that big gunfight. But he did have engagement in the area.
He was no friend of the Cowboys, that's for sure. He had his fair share of nemesis,
Yeah.
just like Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, and what's kind of interesting, the big connection that may possibly exist is that he did drive the
Stagecoach.
and so there is thought that he may have actually driven Edgar Rice Burroughs out to Fort Grant.
So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so Warren Earp, he was based in Wilcox for a while, and he just had a whole bunch of odd jobs, like
Yeah.
cowboy, ranch hand. But one of them was at times operating basically the taxi between Wilcox and Fort Grant, and that was at the time when Edgar S. Burroughs was down there. So it's
Yeah.
very possible that when Burroughs took the stagecoach taxi to Fort Grant, that it was Warren Earp driving him. So that's kind of cool. It's very cool. The cemetery is a very old cemetery. It's all the graves are like late 1800s to very early 1900s. So it's very overran by weeds and red ants. Oh my.
Red ant hills.
There's maybe a ratio of 2 red ant hills to every grave. Possibly more. Yeah.
3 or 4.
And of course, I'm wearing shorts walking through this, and the weeds are getting me, and the red ants are leaping in the air trying to nibble us down. But and then of course we get to the cemetery in our Fiat, which is not an off-roading car, but we had to go down a dirt road to get here. And then the horizon is a storm is coming in, so it's like, okay, we got to make this quick because if we get
We
caught in the
were-
rain, our beep beep is stuck.
Yeah, we were worried about a flash flooding in
Mhm.
the area. So we did hot-footed out to the grave, took pictures, and then, kind of looked at a few graves that was kind of in line to head back out to the car. But we did do that, and that was interesting. That was one of the
Mhm.
one of the activities that we wanted to do.
It is kind of, I don't know if surreal's the right word, but I'm going to go with it. But it's kind of surreal to stand at the gravesite of someone who has a lot of history anchored to him. Basically one of the Earps, and
Yeah.
extrapolate that to Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp, and movies like Tombstone and whatnot, and
Yeah.
there he is. His ghost is right there chilling with red ants.
Yeah.
So, and then that was our Thursday. Our Friday was the first day of the conference. It was being held at the Elks Lodge in Wilcox from 9 a.m. to I think 5 p.m. And so this is the second time ever that Michelle and I have ever vended at a convention or a conference. And so, we had all of our books out. Michelle had a lot of her paper crafts out, um and around us were other people selling a lot of like Edgar Rice Burroughs books, first editions of things, and Tarzan film posters. Our neighbor,
And their own books.
yeah, our neighbor to the left is a writer named Jeff Marriott, and he was the guest of honor at this event. And Jeff has been doing writing and editing for like decades. I think his forte might be westerns, but he does, horror. He does a lot of comic book stuff. His big thing is doing comic book adaptations of TV shows, like he did like issues of a crossover between Star Trek Next Gen and DS9. He did issues of like Buffy and Angel and CSI and stuff. But he also did a Tarzan book called Tarzan and the Forest of Stone. This is an authorized Edgar Rice Burroughs book. So Burroughs didn't write it, obviously, but Jeff Marriott did. I haven't read it yet, but it's basically Tarzan in the Wild West. But Jeff was the guest of honor. He's a very cool guy. I got to interview him like 2 months ago, and that interview's at my website. Um, but he worked at IDW, DC. The guy has written and been involved in like everything. And Michelle got some artifacts of him signed
Yeah.
as well.
So like I really like CSI. I like true crime and stuff like that. So even though this is fictional, he did sign that. He also went through and in Nick's interview, he talks a bit more about it, but he was asked to go through and watch all the episodes of Criminal Minds. And everywhere that there was a mention of a killer, he needed to jot it down and then investigate and determine who that killer was based on in real life. And he said it was, interesting, but it was at the wrong time of the year to do this. It was during the holidays. So he said, while everybody's watching, National Lampoon's Holiday or
Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation and stuff like that, he was neck deep in serial killers. But he did also do this. So
yeah, I had a pile of stuff for him to sign. I only grabbed the Tarzan book, but he was a really cool guy. But he was the guest of honor. He brings that perspective of the Wild West there, but also he's writing Tarzan stuff, and he's writing another book for the Edgar Rice Burroughs people, a sequel to the story called Beyond 30.
yeah.
So he was our neighbor, so we got to hang out with him for a bit. So that first day was a day of presentations, and we'll go over the presentations, but I'm gonna skip to me because I'm egotistical like that, because we got to bring the sword and sandal element in here. Darn it.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was the second speaker. I spoke from 11 noon, and I did a presentation on Tarzan and the Lost Empire.
All right.
Basically, Tarzan cast as a sword and sandal character. So for folks who haven't read Tarzan and the Lost Empire, the gist of it is he finds a valley in Africa that has two Roman settlements in it, that these Roman settlements have been cut off for like 1,000 years. so basically he's in Roman times. He's in the present whenever Tarzan's in the present, but basically it's Tarzan put into a sword and sandal setting. He's captured by guards. He's forced to fight in the arena. Um, he has to fight a lion in the arena, which basically parallels, Hercules and the Nemean lion mythology. He does all his feats of strength. He picks up one of the Caesars above his head and picks up other gladiators and lobs them at people. But also, the cover art is all total sword and sandals. So here's the newest edition of The Lost Empire. You can see Tarzan over a gladiator in the arena being cheered on. Here's a Boris Vallejo edition of the same story. And of course, Boris Vallejo would go on to do so much, fantasy artwork and sword and sorcery artwork. But, there's Tarzan fighting some Roman legionnaires.
I believe that's the copy that I have somewhere. The Boris Vallejo cover. That looks very familiar.
It's cool. Here's another edition that shows, Tarzan, holding a gladiator above his head in the arena, about to huck him. And this was a gift from Frank Punzer. He's the one who hosted all this, but he bought me a copy of Tarzan Lost Empire, this old Dell edition. Again, there he is in the arena. He's killed the lion he had to fight. But basically like the strong man does. And then of course there was a comic book adaptation. Gold Key put out Lost Empire in comic book format. Here's is this issue? It doesn't matter. Here's one of the issues of it, and then here's another issue of it. So the imagery's there. I mean, Tarzan looks like a strongman character. He's just got his loincloth. That's about it. He looks indistinguishable between a Hercules, a Machista, and all that stuff. He's surrounded by Roman legionnaires. He's in an antiquity setting. He has to fight in the Colosseum and all stuff. So, I don't consider Tarzan a peplum character by himself because, he may draw maybe from some mythological stuff. I'm not an expert on Tarzan, but he's a jungle character. He's his own kind of trope. But for this particular story, he becomes a peplum character. And Slash, I know that Rock Stevens played Tarzan in I don't remember his real name, but was Tarzan in a couple shows, and he went on to do a couple peplum films. And there's also movies like Twar the Mighty that started out as a Tarzan film, but then became a normal peplum film. So, Tarzan is pretty fluid. He I think, put into a very specific story and setting, he becomes indistinguishable from a peplum strongman. And so that's what I gave my presentation on. I peppered it with a lot of stills from movies, a lot of stills from the comics, and talked about his feats of strength, what a peplum is. And it ended with someone in the audience asked me, who would win a battle, Hercules or Tarzan? And now keep in mind, in this Elks Lodge, there's probably 50 plus people there that are all Edgar Rice Burroughs super fans, scholars, writers, and even the company themselves, the top brass of the company are right there, all looking at me. So I say, without flinching, of course it's Hercules. He's a demigod. The boos were warranted, but I stand by them. Someone said, there's the door, get out.
Olympus thanks you.
I'm sorry, he's Hercules. Come on,
Yeah.
he's a demigod. Now, I did concede that Tarzan, at least compared to like 1960s peplum, Tarzan has agility. The older peplum folks are more, Goliath-y, strong, they're immovable mountains. And so I did concede Tarzan has agility. He leaps around, he grabs the vines, runs through the trees. He has that on him. But on the other hand, he's put into situations like he's shackled. Well, shackles don't stop Hercules. Boom, done. No, not Tarzan. He's out, whatever. But and I also talked about post-Gladiator, aside from actors like The Rock, most peplum stars aren't like super beefy strongmen, but more the agile folk. Like when we talked about Clash of the Titans last month, Perseus played by
Harry Hamlin.
no, not Harry Hamlin, the other Clash of the Titans.
Oh, the newer one.
Yeah, the guy that was
Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington. He's a buff guy, but he's no Rock. But on the other hand, in that movie, he's like flip kicking around and stuff. Stuff that you wouldn't see, Gordon Scott doing, back in the 60s. But anyway, Hercules would win in a fight with Tarzan, and I stand my ground.
What he doesn't know is that his membership has been revoked. He's waiting for the letter.
I had been kicked out of the Edgar Rice Burroughs fandom because I dared speak the truth.
And you visited the Shrine of the Thing, so
We
that
did.
counts for something.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm probably in a future episode. I'll go into greater detail. Revisit my presentation and give you like a proper rundown of what I taled about. But
That'd be
it was
great.
nice. I hadn't done a presentation in about 2 or 3 years. It's been a while. I'll probably turn it into an essay and send it to one of the Edgar Rice Burroughs zines out there to be published or something. But overall, teasing aside, people seem to like the presentation, and I got to talk sword and sandal shop to folks. There's a lot of other stuff, what mind doing. Maybe the Sword and Planet stuff from John Carter. All that stuff. That's all future scholarship. I have talked a lot. I'm going to cede it to you for a little bit. Although you have a scratchy throat.
I do kind of have a scratchy throat, but
I can keep going. I can yap.
oh, I know you can yap.
Is that a dig? You can just dig me.
I dig you.
I got
It's a
dig.
compliment.
So there, as Nick mentioned, there are a couple of different magazines that Edgar Rice Burroughs group has. So one of them, and I think this is like the official. Is this the official one?
None of these are from the ERB Inc. people, but this is the
Yes.
official Burroughs Bibliophiles magazine.
So this is the official, and this is the brand new one that's out, and they do some pretty lovely covers.
Side note, the issue prior is the one that contains my interview with Peplum Queen Bella Cortez.
All right.
So that's the Burroughs Bulletin. And then I also picked up, because I'm into the Wild West, and one of the things, is
Burroughs wrote westerns.
yeah, Burroughs wrote westerns. And so this magazine, Reverberate, is the second issue of this new magazine, and this one focuses in on the Western factor of Edgar Rice Burroughs. So I'm looking forward to reading that one as well. Obviously, when you're at a convention, money is spent. So
Side note, for everything we sold, that money got reinvested back into the
we
people that bought stuff
reinvested.
from us.
Yes, we did reinvest. There was one of the fellows that was actually giving away books, which was really nice. So I did pick up this older book, Tarzan and the Golden Lion. So I don't think I've really read any Burroughs yet. I have read a little bit of John Carter, but I haven't really read Tarzan. So this is one of the books that I got. It was for free. And then the other one, because I want to start at the beginning, I was able to pick up his first Western book, The Bandit of Hell's Bend. So that's this one. And it has this is a kind of like, I don't want to say it was a refurbished cover, but it is a company that actually reproduces old book covers.
Mhm.
So this is not an original book cover.
But
so
it's darn near close.
So in case people are like, hey, I don't recognize that cover, that's because it's actually a a reimagined one.
But the
And
book is real.
but the book, the innards is definitely real. So
This is a very ship of Theseus question. You know, you have a
yeah,
ship, you take away the mast, you put up a mast.
Yeah.
Is it still you take away the cover and put a different cover on? Is it still the same book?
Yeah. So I mean, if you look inside, it's the book and everything. But I do want to kind of get into start reading. I want to look at how women are portrayed and things like that. Because
Now, side note, I do have that book that's not a Western, but more of a drama, but that Girl from Hollywood book.
yeah.
Yeah, so that should be
So yeah, so those were a couple of things that I bought. I also went ahead and became a member of the Edgar Rice Burroughs
Bibliophiles.
bibliophiles. So I'm now going to be part of that. And then, as Nick mentioned earlier, Frank Punzer was the fellow that is the impetus for this conference. And
Mastermind behind it all, making all
Yeah.
the cogs work together.
yeah, so I did actually get an older issue of True West autographed by him because he has an article in this particular issue. I think about the Apache Kid. I think that's what it's about. So very, very excited about that. We, like Nick said, there was lots of presentations on Friday, and then they had a few presentations on Saturday as well. I do want to make comment that some of the presentations included discussing Edgar Rice Burroughs' military service. He didn't just serve at Fort Grant for 13 months or whatever. He also served in World War I, and then he was a war correspondent for World War II.
Mhm.
And that was a lot of stuff that I didn't know before. The one of the other presentations was by I don't remember what Floyd's last name was, but he talked about the Buffalo Soldiers.
He's a Buffalo Soldier historian, and his name is Floyd Gray. Oh, here's a picture of the front of the program. Back of the program. Michelle's name's listed, my name's listed.
Yeah.
All right.
And then inside, for people who want to pause it, to see all the list of all the presentations and when and who did what.
Yeah.
But that's the program.
But he made a very astute comment, and that was the fact that, we talk about different people, but he mentioned that Edgar Rice Burroughs was only 20 at the time when he came out west to serve at Fort Grant. And he talked about, what were we like when we were 20? We're still finding our way and we're very impressionable. And so he really discussed how, Burroughs had all these different things that were coming in, including like the service of the 7th Cavalry, the Buffalo Soldiers, Apache Kid. Geronimo had surrendered, I think, like about 10 years earlier, but there were still lots of fighting and, quick attacks and things like that. And this was the Wild West still, because it was 1896 that he, May of 1896 that he dropped off from the railroad station and served out here. And it's still very desolate. It's very wild still. So it's kind of easy to kind of think about that. But when you think of somebody that's only 20 years old, and then you look at the body of work and the versatility of the body of work, and the fantasy elements and things like that, it's just amazing at what he came up with. And I'm anxious as
Very impressionable.
as a newbie to Edgar Rice Burroughs, is really starting to see those different connections and the influences from real life into his writing. So I'll pass it back over to you because I chatted for a few.
Okay. Rest your throat, poor lady.
Yeah.
One of the other people there, his name is Christopher Paul Carey. He's a VP of like writing and publishing at Edgar Rice Burroughs Inc. So he's kind of the head honcho for the new books coming out, by other authors and stuff. Um, so I took a lot of my stuff to be signed by him. He did a lot of comic book work and whatnot. But he also, like 15 years ago, he worked at Paizo, P-A-I-Z.
Hazel.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
RPG
game
company.
company, yeah.
Yeah, he worked there, and he worked on their fiction stuff, and he's the one who edited the Planet Stories line that they were publishing at the time. So here is a Michael Moorcock Joe Lansdale double book that he edited that I had him sign. And I like Under the Warrior Star. I think it's a great Sword and Planet story. So much so that I made a cocktail about it for a Sword and Sorcery magazine, which to talk about later. But he autographed some cool stuff of mine. The other presentations, the first presentation on Thursday was from an archaeologist based down there who I guess her specialty is the Coronado expedition. So she was showing slides of like all the artifacts from the Spanish conquistadors of the era, the Francisco Coronado, I think. And so, tracking their settlements, their movements, unearthing places they stayed at, and showing the guns they had, horseshoes, and all that stuff. It was really cool. They have to keep it clandestine because if they reveal like specific site locations, people are just going to go in there and mess it all up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, she actually explained like their process for investigating and determining where the next site will be because they were actually able to study enough of the sites to understand kind of the distance between different campsites. So through the letters, what documentation they do have from that time period, they've been able to kind of follow the path, and that's kind of her long range research. She also, because she's independent, she's had a lot of relationships with local ranchers to be able to go out on their land, also to see some of the artifacts that they found over the years. That helps with her own research. It was really fascinating. Hey guys, to have her speak, because that brought a whole nother aspect to the southeast, region of the state.
The skip ahead here, but a lot of the presentations are focused like on Southwest stuff, boroughs and Southwest.
Yeah.
The last presentation of the conference was from a local speculative fiction guy. His name's Bob Leeper. But he went over where in John Carter, at the beginning of John Carter, or Princess of Mars, John Carter goes into a cave and astral projects himself to Barsoom. And I guess people always ask, where is that cave? Does it really exist? And so he put up a giant map and went over all the spots in Arizona where that cave could possibly be. And using, words from Burroughs's writing, basically narrowed it down to it's the White Mountains, not in the Southwest, but more in the Northwest part of Arizona. I think Michelle's going to go grab the map. But he kind of went over it like, different caves and stuff. Oh, yeah, there we go. And spots where the John Carter cave could be. So that's cool.
That is cool to tie it back into a reality that we share and connecting it. That is awesome.
So that was Friday. I know I'm glossing over a couple of things. We're getting close to the top of the hour. I guess the last thing to mention is on Saturday, for 2 hours, we all gathered in front of the train station in Wilcox, that's been turned into the city hall. So it's refurbished and it's now the city hall. But they put the Burroughs monument on a rock right in front of the city hall. So it's there. So they did an unveiling of that. They had the mayor of the town come out to talk about it. A couple of, I don't know if there is granddaughters or great granddaughters, probably
I
just,
think one of them's the granddaughter, and then the younger gal is the great granddaughter.
yeah. So two of Burroughs's granddaughters slash great granddaughters were there to, to talk about, Burroughs and the monument. And then they also had the post office there. They were doing special stamp cancellations. And I didn't even know this was a thing, but
Yeah.
here's a picture of an envelope with a special Edgar Rice Burroughs cancellation on it. Get that a little closer, I guess. So that's cool.
They call them first day cover. I think first day covers. And so the postal people were out front, and you could go and get an envelope and a stamp, and you could have it stamped. So really cool. The dedication was really nice. Several people spoke, and it was all very nicely done. The weather was cooperating. It was a little bit warmer. The sun was out.
Yeah. Up until that, it was storm clouds on the horizon and thunderstorms.
Yeah.
Which are apocalyptically cool, but not the best circumstances to have an outdoor memorial unveiling.
Yeah. I know we're getting close to the time, but I did want to show the official artwork for the conference, which was done by Gilead, and Nick can talk a little bit more about him.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned him on the show before,
Yeah.
but he's a local sword and sorcery artist. But that's the poster that he did for the event, for the program and everything. He couldn't make it down to Wilcox, but if you look him up, he's got a lot of sword and sorcery artwork out there, and booklets and chapbooks and paintings. We have a couple of his paintings hanging up in the house, actually. So you know what? He should probably be a guest someday on the show. Now that I think about it.
So his original art of this print was donated to the Sulphur Springs Valley Historical Society that's in Wilcox, along with that's going to be shown with all of the artifacts that Frank Punzer donated related to Edgar Rice Burroughs. So they have a very nice display. We didn't get to see it because we were at the conference, and I'm not even sure if they have it all up and done yet. But people that go there, they'll be able to, they definitely should stop there and take a look at that exhibit that's in the Historical Society.
It's really at a top high level. I know we could probably speak to a couple other things, but overall, we made the trip down to Southeast Arizona. We'd never been down there before. It's nice to be basically in the true Wild West. Side note, we didn't know it was actually 3,000 feet in the air, so we had high altitude going, woo, whoa.
We were trying to figure out why we were so tired. We got there Thursday, and I mean, I'd driven, but I think we looked at the time at one point, and we're like, God, we're so tired. And I think you asked me what time it was, and I was like, it's not even like 8 o'clock. We were so tired. But
we didn't want to fall asleep and wake up like at 3.
Yeah.
We were just so pooped.
Yeah.
But yeah, Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter, Sword and Planet stuff, Tarzan, Peplum stuff. Positive trip. Got to meet some cool people.
Yeah. And there's a lot coming out for Edgar Rice Burroughs Inc. So definitely go and take a look at their website. So you can see they're
releasing an autobiography done by Burroughs that covers like his military service and stuff,
as well as like his travel logs that he did with his family. So lots there. Definitely take a look at some of the different websites, and you can definitely get more information. And with that, we are going to pass the torch of knowledge back to Hercules to finish up that.
Thank you. You brightened the room with your knowledge, and After we finish, I'm going to look up The Thing because I too now need to see The Thing.
You need to see The Thing, Hercules. Yeah, look, it's awesome. If you could teleport to see it, you need to teleport to see
Yeah.
it.
It's
Highly
like
recommended.
Cthulhu
Yeah.
thing. I heard the pipes of the Shoggoths, and now I need to see The Thing. Well, thank you. As always, I enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed speaking with both of you. Michelle, I hope you feel better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ask Cecily if she's upset or anything. She didn't make that much of an appearance
She
today.
was a good girl today.
She actually is right here next to me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she behaved.
Yeah.
Yes, she did. And how can we find each of you and both of you?
Well, I do have a website, michellebrittany.com, that one day, I swear to God, I will get that updated. But I also have an author page on Amazon and Facebook under my name, as well as a Facebook page, Art of Michele Brittany, where you can see some of my artwork. But for all the appearances and things, because Nick and I usually are together with our appearances, Nick can tell you his website.
Yeah, I'm at nickdiak.com. You can find my writing there, both stuff I write exclusively for my website and also other venues I write for. All the podcasts and vidcasts are on. I haven't updated it a month because it has been a hectic past month, getting ready for this conference and work stuff. But I usually update it at, multiple times a month with news and articles and stuff like that. It has links to all my social media and all that cool stuff. But that's where you can find me.
Thank you both very much. I'm glad you made it back home. I'm glad the storms didn't leave you any unpleasant surprises. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
Wrath of the Titans. We're getting
Yes,
to the
for
final
sure.
one.
Looking forward to it. Have a nice evening.
You
Thank
too.
you, Hercules.
Thank you.